Hi everybody, welcome to part 2 of our lesson for today. And now we're going to start looking at a non-parametric alternative to the independent samples t-test. So that was our most basic of the between groups hypothesis tests that we ran. Just like in the last one, in this test we're comparing, instead of means, medians. So we're comparing, our null hypothesis is that the two group medians are equal to each other, and the alternative hypothesis is that they're not equal to each other. But we could do a one-tailed version of that as well. If you see, this test has two different names to it. That's because these two tests are equivalent. They were devised in two different ways, but they turn out to be equivalent. One is called the Mann Whitney U test, and the other one is called the Wilcoxon rank sum test, which is not the one we did earlier, the Wilcoxon signed rank test. That's not confusing at all. But sometimes this is even called the Mann Whitney Wilcoxon test. Anyway, what's important is that you know how to run it. So let's go back to the attention span data set, and let's run our test where we're going to compare the amount of the number of hours spent per week watching TV for male children versus female children. And we're going to test whether there's a difference there. So we're going to analyze non-parametric tests, legacy dialogues. Again, you could run the independent samples, just like we could have run the related samples before, but I don't think that interface is very good. So we're just going to go to legacy dialogues and go to two independent samples. Our test variable list, this is our numeric variable. So the number of hours spent per week watching TV. And the grouping variable is the gender. And we have to tell it what values we're using. If you go and look under the value labels under variable view, these are 1s and 2s. So we're going to put 1 and 2 there. Continue. And we're going to pick the Mann Whitney U. Under options, there is an option for descriptive statistics. But to me, it's odd. It doesn't give the medians. It gives the means, but not the medians, which is odd to me because we're testing for a difference in the medians. So we won't get our descriptive statistics from there. So if we click OK, here's our output. And I've already copied that over. And we can get our descriptive statistics under Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, Explore. And number of hours spent per week watching TV based on the gender of the participant. And if we click OK, we get this nice table that has everything in it that we need. So I've already copied this over here, and we are going to look at our output here. The important thing to get from this table is just the sample size. So this is N. Down here, we need, this is our test statistic, which we're going to need for the effect size again, and then this is our p-value. So we get a p-value of 0.027, which means based on this data, we can conclude there's a difference in those medians. I almost said means. So there's our descriptives, which we're going to need to talk about in our output. The p-value, again, is for, I said output, but I mean write-up. The p-value here is for a two-tailed test. If you want a one-tailed test, you divide that p-value by 2. So effect size. Just like we saw before, the effect size is the absolute value of this test statistic divided by the square root of n. So we got a test statistic of negative 2.218, and our sample size is 40. So absolute value of 2.218 divided by the square root of 40 is 0.3507. And if you look at, with the obligatory, look at your context, pay more attention to that than the guidelines. But this is approximately a moderate effect. And there's no post hoc test here because we only have 2 groups. So our sample write-up works exactly the same way as all the other ones do. And I hope now these are becoming sort of comfortable to you. Saying we ran a Mann Whitney U test. If you want to call that a Wilcoxon rank sum test, you can, or a Mann Whitney Wilcoxon. It's up to you. We ran this test. And then we state the descriptive statistics, compare the actual medians, and then the test showed a statistically significant difference between the 2 sexes. We stated, well, I didn't state the Z, I stated the U here. And either one of those is fine. They're both, the Z is actually more for the Wilcoxon, I think, but doesn't matter. We still use the Z for this, and it still works as a test statistic. We got a p-value of 0.027, and here's the effect size, which means that the difference is moderate in size. All right, so that's it, and if you have any questions, please let me know.